We reached the end of this Royal Rumble review series, and I couldn't be happier about it. And I'm very excited about what's to come Sunday night at the 2014 WWE Royal Rumble. But it's time to tie up some loose ends here before I talk about the 2013 Royal Rumble. Three things pertaining to the 2012 Royal Rumble. Excuse me. Number one, I forgot to talk about Kofi Kingston's great spot walking on his hands and saving himself from elimination. I didn't do that enough justice, so let me make sure I mention that now. Number two, Ricardo Rodriguez. How awesome was he in this Rumble? That entrance was classic. I freaking loved every minute of it. Driving out in that old Pinto. How awesome. Now, what made the WWE think of going and getting a car like that for him? It was great. Outstanding. And he was over big with the crowd, no question. Third thing, I feel bad about not talking about the surprise appearances of people like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Road Dogg. It was good to see them here. Hacksaw won the first ever Royal Rumble, so it made sense at the 25th Royal Rumble pay-per-view to have him make an appearance. And, Road Dogg was back working with the company. Why not have him make an appearance? And, he looked good for the time that he was in there. So I wanted to touch on those things about 2012. One other thing to tie up here, the 1990, 3 Royal Rumble. Both times, apparently, when I've done this Royal Rumble review series, I've forgotten to talk about the debut, the unveiling by Bobby the Brain Heenan of the narcissist Lex Luger. Let me touch on that now. When it comes to the narcissist, I think it's a funny gimmick. I'm sad they didn't go with it a little bit more, but especially once Hogan left, I guess they were looking and they said, well, we know he's on the way out. We need to create a new blonde, muscle-bound baby face, an all-American hero, and Sid, we've run him out of town. He's gone, so let's take Luger and make a run at it. And they did, by God. The Lex Express, get on board. The Lex Express. But here, the unveiling of the narcissist Lex Luger to me was all about Bobby the Brain Heenan. Outstanding stuff by him. I can't emphasize how great Bobby the Brain Heenan truly was. He was. Oh, man. Greatest manager in the history of the wrestling business to me, bar none. Period. Now that I've talked about that, let's talk about the 2013 Royal Rumble. You've got Alberto Del Rio successfully defending his title against the Big Show in a last man standing match, his World Heavyweight Championship, which he had won a couple weeks before against Big Show on a SmackDown. And, obviously, with Rumble pay-per-views having fewer matches, you tend to get more length out of the matches you do get. You tend to get higher quality matches. This is a good, solid opener. I kind of did like the concept of them trying to go with ADR as a babyface because you maybe always viewed him as a heel. And I thought it was actually going to work at one point in time, even though I felt they needed to do more with Ricardo to help turn ADR fully babyface. But, of course, a few months later, they went right back to ADR being the same fucking type of heel he always had been, which was stupid to me. But the finish of this match, you have ADR's applying a cross arm breaker while Ricardo's duct taping Big Show's feet to the ropes. What a heel tactic to win as a babyface. Eddie Guerrero would have been proud indeed. Then we got another match. This one was enjoyable. The Tag Team Championship match between Team Hell No and the Road Scholars. It's a shame that neither one of these tag teams are still together. It really is. I thought both of these pairings worked. I liked both of these tag teams. It made for an entertaining match. It's amazing, isn't it? A year later, you go from Daniel Bryan just being a guy, on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, doing some entertaining stuff, mind you, but just being a guy on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view to now in 2014, I have a feeling come Sunday night, people are going to riot if he's not even in the Royal Rumble match, let alone what they feel like he should be doing, which I understand, which is winning the 2014 Royal Rumble to get that title shot at WrestleMania. Especially now that we've gotten some word out the last day or two on the interwebs about who Daniel Bryan's potential opponent at WrestleMania is. Hey, third time's the charm. Breakfast Club always wins, bitches. Never forget that. Boy. And we get to the Royal Rumble match itself. Oh boy. Dolph Ziggler starts off number 1, cuts a little promo, says he doesn't care who number 2 is, he wants to see him, and out comes Chris Jericho, the guy he had beaten the night after SummerSlam to drive him away from the WWE. Jericho's back today. The look on Ziggler's face was freaking classic. There's Jericho with the freaking Christmas light jacket. Awesome stuff. I did like how on this Royal Rumble pay-per-view that the first four guys all went a good length. You know, you had Dolph Ziggler go, close to 50 minutes. Jericho went like 47 minutes. Ziggler lasted to the final four. Cody Rhodes entered third. He went almost half an hour. Kofi Kingston was fourth. He entered in, and he made it about 22 minutes. You know, so that was good to see. You had Sheamus go over 30 minutes here. He ended number 7. He went a long way. You know, you had one really fun return, even though it was too damn short, was the Godfather. I was hoping the Godfather was going to get a nice little run here of at least 2 or 3 minutes, but he got eliminated in 5 seconds. What hot bullshit garbage is that? You know what I'm saying? Garbage bullshit, period. But ultimately, heading into this pay-per-view event, a lot of fans were experiencing great feelings of consternation because they felt like they already knew, and understandably so, because they did know what the WWE was going to do with this match. They knew who was going to win this Rumble match. And I find it very ironic how a year before, a lot of people were sitting there and, you know, wanting Jericho to win and felt Jericho should have won, and they got pissed off about it. The older guy going over the younger guy in the Rumble match, and the WWE went with the younger guy in that case. This time around, they weren't playing those same games. You had Ryback or you had Cena. The WWE was going to go with Cena all the way. And what a shame for the Ryback character, too, because this was a guy that got very hot on in 2012. They were having him wrestle Punk. I feel like maybe they definitely made a mistake when they had that moment, that shot, that opportunity to have him beat CM Punk, cement his place as a top guy in the WWE, as a top babyface by having him carry the belt, even if it was for a short period of time. Because you could have had the Shield, you know, interfere to help CM Punk get it back any fucking ways. You know, it's just, it's very frustrating when you go back and see this. This was the last chance where they could have salvaged the Ryback character, period, babyface or heel. So, of course, they didn't. And they went with John Cena because they ultimately wanted this. They felt like they had torn down John Cena enough in 2012, even though main eventing most pay-per-views, I wouldn't exactly classify that as being fully torn down. He lost to The Rock, but they had him win right back again the next month against debuting former UFC champ, former undisputed champ in the WWF, WWE, and Brock Lesnar. How much did they really tear down John Cena in 2012? Really. He didn't have the greatest year, but I would classify that as far from a complete and total slump. I would classify that as being anything but a complete and total breakdown and tear down of the character, which to me made this 2013 Royal Rumble victory for John Cena seem very hollow. There was no road to redemption story here. It didn't work because there was nothing for him to really redeem. He won a bunch still, and he lost a few more than he did. But he still was in big spots all the time, and he still won some matches, and he still won some big matches. And still got title opportunities. All this other shit. I mean, there was no road to redemption here with Cena whatsoever. So like I said, it just made it feel like no matter how much the WWE was trying to package it as being such, it just made it feel very shallow and very empty. And he knew where they were going. And he knew ultimately, that's why a lot of the fans were so upset when this happened. They knew it going in, and they saw it, and they're like, oh, Christ. Let the countdown clock begin till the doctor of Hugonomics wins the WWE Championship once again. Ugh. But to me, this pay-per-view was salvaged and saved because of the main event. And yes, it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing match, or The Rock wasn't in the best condition for ring work, especially a main event of a Big Four pay-per-view. But here are the facts. CM Punk was a 434-day champion. He was like a mid-card world champion. He truly was. You know, and I got so frustrated when I hear CM Punk basically accepting the fact that he was the champion, but Cena was main eventing more pay-per-views than him. That's outrageous. That's bullshit. You know, any other time you got people in the business telling you, well, the belt should always close the show. Yeah. But now all of a sudden Cena doesn't have the belt, so it's okay that he main events. He ends the show. You know, people like Jericho tell you, well, there's a difference between going on last and main eventing. Well, traditionally in WWE pay-per-views, the answer is no. You could have headline matches, but in wrestling pay-per-views in the WWE, traditionally the main event goes on last. It's usually how it works. And more often than not, CM Punk wasn't main eventing pay-per-views as champion. It's ridiculous. And then they turned him heel. So they took a guy that the people wanted to get behind. They were going to, at one point in time, seem like to make him the voice of the voiceless, the voice of the 99%, the voice of the common man. And now, in less than a year, had turned him heel because they're fucking morons. And they wanted people to boo him when the people didn't want to boo him. They resented that. They cheered him. And so you got split reactions, mixed reactions. More often than not, Punk was getting more cheers than boos. And you were going against the grain. It was ridiculous. So I was ready for them to give the belt to The Rock. This is what I had asked for at the end of 2012. I said I had one wish for the WWE, and that was for them to have The Rock win the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. For all the crap I had sat through over the years, for all the crap I had felt like I had suffered through in the PG era, this was one of those moments. It was a get back. It was a get back. It was, to me as an older fan, it was like a thanks for watching all these years. It was a thanks for putting up with this stuff. Now we've brought back a real star, and at least we're going to give you this for a fleeting moment. And it let me know that I was going to see The Rock a little bit more, and I was fine with that, even though I knew what the deal was, and I knew what the scope was. I knew what the skinny was. I knew what it was going to eventually lead to at WrestleMania 29, but I didn't care. I knew it was coming. I had prepared myself. I basically sold myself and said, you give me this, I'm okay with this. You give me this, I won't get bashed too much on this. The WWE did it, and I tried to be a man of my word the best I possibly could. But what an awesome moment, when you actually had The Rock finally win the WWE Championship, a belt he hadn't held. Think about this. He hadn't held in over 10 years. It was a true mark-out moment to me. Yes, the match wasn't the greatest. Yeah, you had the Shield interfering. You had all this. The bottom line is it created a tremendous mark-out moment for me. And this Royal Rumble, in terms of pay-per-view buys, did very good business compared to the past few years before it. That's why you bring a guy in like The Rock, because he could give you a shot in the arm. He could give you some much-needed life. He could bring in some additional money, additional eyeballs, additional pay-per-view revenue, and he did. Because in part you have failed to create big-time stars over the past several years. You have to do that. So all these people that sit there and say, well, The Rock took the spot of somebody that was more deserving. Like who? Dolph Ziggler? Now get the fuck out of here. If you're a businessman, you're going to do the same thing Vince McMahon did. You're going to take The Rock and you're going to ride him. Because you know he's box office. You know he's going to make you money. And that's what he did here. And like I said, I can't crap on this pay-per-view too much because ultimately I had one request of the WWE for all of 2013, and they did it. So I like the show. What more can I say? Thanks to all of you that stuck with me throughout this whole Royal Rumble review series. A couple of things. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. You're doing yourself a disservice, damn it. Follow the show on Twitter handle, @OffTheRopesShow. I tweet during Raws now. I tweet during the pay-per-views. Give it a follow. I try to use my wit on there sometimes, so that way my tweets aren't shit. How about that? Kind of rhymed, kind of didn't, kind of saved it, kind of did. Also, coming up probably either at the end of February or the beginning of March, I will be starting the WrestleMania review series. So for those of you that will be looking for something to get you ramped up and get you more excited for WrestleMania 30, hopefully my Mania review series will fill that gap for you at least a little bit and help get you more excited and revved up for the event. I'm looking forward to doing that series, but for now, I'm so glad that this Royal Rumble review series is over. Make sure if you haven't checked out the videos in this series, all 26 of them, you go to that link right there in the description box that says Royal Rumble Review Series Playlist and watch them all. And now I look forward to seeing what the WWE does Sunday night with the 2014 Royal Rumble.